Yeah. Hello, my name's Barry. Welcome to Christianity Explained, where my goal is to provide some Bible teaching, church culture, and occasional book review. So, what is this video about? My goal at the end of this video is to help you better understand how not to react to criticism and provocation, why it really doesn't help, and perhaps discover a more biblical sound way to respond to criticism. And the basis of this video came from a podcast that was done recently by a group of guys called the Demon Slayer. It is a well known and popular deliverance ministry. And when they can, they get together and talk about issues. And one of the topic was, uh, I guess the agenda was to cover controversial questions or tough whatever. Sound good, except a problem came. Now, I heard the original video, and I thought something, or I should say, I heard something that didn't sound right. And I will get into that in just a bit. Later, a well known YouTuber named Rob Wilson of The Love Agenda decided to do a, a response. And, well, let's just say he has a colorful way of confronting uh, issues. And this one guy, Mike Signorelli, uh, just had to put on a show showing how not to react. Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning of the conversation that led to the explosive incident that happened on the Demon Cast, the Demon Slayer podcast. I call it explosive. Well, you'll see why. Uh, Now, Isaiah, whoop, sorry folks, I gotta give you a chance to see the video. Isaiah is about to field a question, and I'll respond to each one because the first two really don't take long, right to the point.
You guys call out, and I'm trying to pick the controversial ones, guys. I went through a bunch of questions. Why don't you guys call out people by name? This is something we could all give our take on, but we've all said, like, we don't mention names. To me, I look at the calling out names partially as the boy who cried wolf, right? The boy who cried wolf, no one takes him serious because he's always crying wolf. And when you're always using your platform to call everybody else out, not only is it a sign of pride and a sign of arrogance and ignorance if you think everybody's false but you. I mean, that's literally how cults start. But I think that you lose the power to even call anything out, to even call it sin. I do think there are occasions where somebody is so far gone, they do not believe the essential doctrines, they're causing damage to the body. And if you are a shepherd of a flock, you should probably warn your flock. But I think that it's usually very rare. And with internet culture, now everybody has a voice. Everybody's a quote unquote leader. And now we have call out culture and cancel culture where any random guy can just make a video, Isaiah Oliver's a heretic because he believes Christians can have demons. It goes viral. And people are like, are you going to respond? I don't even know who that guy is. Who is he? He's not my spiritual covering or father. I don't even know this guy. Some random guy in a basement somewhere online. And I have to respond to every single person online that calls me out. Not only is it not biblical, it's just not healthy to create channels where all you're doing is tearing people down. All you're doing is being negative. All you're doing is calling people out. I just personally don't see how it benefits the body of Christ. I think it creates an angry mob of people. And if you want to prove this, you can go to these channels and look at the comment section. It's all anger. It's all mad. It's, oh, this guy, it's making fun. And I personally don't want to have a platform like that or create a people that are unhealthy like that. But what do you guys think? Maybe I'm wrong. That's
Okay, I'm stopping Sorry, guys, I forgot. Isaiah is a fast talker. That's normal for him. So my apologies. Isaiah is the youngest of the group, and while he has a phenomenal outreach to a whole lot of people, and is an evangelist at heart, unfortunately, he always struck me as a little bit on the insecure side. So he gives a general statement, which, okay, um, yeah, but from what I'm seeing, he's fine. I didn't expect him to come out and say anything controversial, but he is trying to get the ball rolling. So I appreciate that. Uh, because of his celebrity status, he's been, boom, propelled into a very awkward position. And I kind of wish somebody had told him, said, okay, yeah, there are some right ways to confront and talk. And here's the irony: the guy that's to the left of him on the top box, regardless of what you may think about Padani being an apostle, guess what? He's probably the right guy that he should be talking to and hopefully learn something. But it's up to him to decide if he's going to listen. Now, I'm going to let Alex do a little talking because he had to give some sound wisdom. And yeah, he really did. I'm not in total agreement, but I will respect that.
That's just my own
Yeah.
personal conviction.
Well,
Well,
I got. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
let me say this. First of all, we do call people out, but we call people out when we have weighed the evidence and we are 100% sure that this needs to be called out. My fear is being a
Yeah. Alexander has done some videos where he called out some issues and problems, like some of the nuttier prophetic and stuff like that. Uh, as a, he is, for the record, a church planter type apostle. Those are biblical church planters. And certain denominations will say, oh, we're going to designate you as apostle. So that's the type he is. And because he oversees 18, and I think he adopted 2, he has a responsibility to keep an eye out. And that had nothing to do with the deliverance stuff, which he does get. And yes, he's going to make some more valid points here.
false witness because I haven't
Good.
weighed all of the evidence in proper balance to be able to make a proper
Yeah.
judgment call. The Bible says it is foolish to not hear the matter fully. It actually talks about things like that. So I have a fear.
Yeah. In case you missed the point, Alex is right. Before you rush into judgment about what you're hearing, weigh the evidence, find out the whole story of what's going on, and do your homework. Find out, get the facts. Yes, and he's right. No, I don't think he's perfect. And it's not easy. Not everybody is confrontational. And sometimes you have to be extra careful when you are in positions of leadership and you have a lot of influence and you have to wait. It's a lot easier for someone like me because I don't have the kind of responsibility that a pastor of a large church or somebody who had to oversee a whole bunch of churches like he does. So he had to be a little more careful. So I would agree there. But yeah, we do need to weigh the evidence. We do need to get the facts before we go in and find out. So yes, I'll get to the part about Rob, who I got the thumbnail from a little bit. Sadly, I can't say the same for what follows.
that I'll be quick to condemn something, and then I found out that it was either a misspeak or maybe needed more clarification, or maybe they're just in error and might not be erroneous. Like there's a big difference, they might still be evolving. I just don't want to be that guy that then I have to make another video saying sorry. Then I got to be like, okay, guys, I was wrong about this guy. If so I think there is a proper biblical protocol to be able to make that judgment. But the Bible talks about weighing all the evidence. But then there's also a proper ecclesiastical, at least for me, to be able to do that. Matthew 18 talks about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Matthew 18, talk to a person privately when you can, especially with email and all that. And find out, okay, what's actually going on here? Let's see. Is this a one-off? What? And that really is the right way to handle issues that may come up. And yes, in a way, I am indirectly responding to Rob's video. Gee, Bob, what happened? You have a guy who just said the right way, and you could have said, wow, though I don't agree with everything he said, he just hit. But unfortunately,
for me, I have to bring it to my church elders. Is this something that we need to make a public statement on that's going to reflect on the integrity of the organization? What does this have to do with us? And then on top of that, I have to filter it through the people that are closest to me, that I love, that can tell me the truth and say, Pagani, why do you want to chime into this? So it's not just I disagree with something and I'm just going to call someone out. Remember, a public rebuke doesn't just affect the person you're rebuking, it affects everyone that's attached to you that's being the rebuker. Wow. So I have to make sure that everyone that's with me is able to stand with me and saying, we stand against this. And I just think that we just do it too quickly. I think we do it too quickly. But one thing I can say is that when we decide that it's time to do that, then it's not just me speaking, my whole organization is standing with me and those that hold me accountable, so that when there's backlash, it doesn't faze me, because I've went through the proper channels to be able to make that public rebuke. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I'm trying to stop. Yeah. Alex also mentioned in another video the problem with the currency of reaction. The latest one that you know well enough, everyone talking and reacting. But as he already pointed out, we need to slow down a little bit, get the fact, and do before reacting. And that's why I commend Rob Wilson for being smart enough to say, okay, this is the ledge. I'm not going to start throwing out, even though I like to give the bearded guy a hard time on things, but he's right on this. But see, that's good. My own prayer thought is for for Isaiah to get some security, not be afraid to speak up and just say, okay, and learn and listen. Now, here's the other problem, is how do we handle criticism when it comes back? In come the fun.
Yeah, no, that was so good. That was so good. So, and my thing kind of piggybacks off of that. So I just got back from retracing the Protestant Reformation. So I was in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, Geneva. I was in Berlin. And as I traveled through these regions, this is 2 countries now, right? Now go back 500 years. I had this mind-blowing revelation. So you have John Calvin. You've got, William Farel.
Mike, why are you bothering with this? I guess you're not aware, but the reformers of that time were not choir boys, as we like to call. They were very confrontational, all right? Even if they may not they were confrontational, and it was rough. It wasn't just the Catholic attacking Protestant. And John Calvin with no shrinking violet either, especially when it was wrong teaching and things like that. So, not good. And it's actually a distraction to what the first two gentlemen did.
You've got Martin Luther. And here's the thing, these guys, when they had issue with each other's theology, would have to travel by horse across waterways, mountains, valleys to dignify somebody to show up to their office. Like when William Farel went from the northern part of Switzerland all the way down to Geneva to confront Calvin, it was like you had to make a physical journey to do that. My point is, this is the mind-blowing revelation I had, is we've cheapened it to a YouTube video calling somebody out.
Yeah.
Well, he is right on that. We have cheapened, but here's the thing: those guys he's seemingly idolizing, they weren't all sweet and wonderful. They were confrontational where it needed, and they might have even been confrontational in their own church. So, well, do some homework and don't try that. That's with people who actually do know something of church history.
It's like these guys would dignify each other. They would say, okay, you bring your best theological argument, I'll bring mine. But here's the thing, they were motivated by compassion, not criticism. And that's
Oh, no. No, they were not motivated by compassion. They were motivated by their zeal for what they firmly believe the Word of God says. They were motivated by that. All right, it wasn't a gentle thing.
That's how you got the Protestant Reformation. Was the Catholic Church is selling indulgences, people are being deceived, and we've got to take the church back to the original design. What is it? And so I just thought about, like, would you still criticize Alexander Pagani's theology if YouTube didn't exist? Would you still make the video if nobody watched it? Would you
No.
still blog about Isaiah Saldivar if it didn't do something for your ego, for your status, for your...
Oh, brother. Okay. He is. The reality is, Pagani was apparently a television character person on TV before YouTube started. He was a guest on TBN. I don't remember. I don't really pay attention to it. I never did. And unfortunately, most people wouldn't know. In fact, most people at that time in the late 90s who would have said, who? Alec who? Who's that? Okay, you say so. They wouldn't have given a crap. It wouldn't have meant anything. But thanks to the internet and hearing, Christian gonna have a demon. What? Because everybody gets sensitive to that. Now, is there a reason to be at? Yes. Especially, yes, there is. But really?
And let me just tell you, Pastor Mike, well, what authority do you have to say that? Well,
Oh, wait. And by the way, did you catch the part where... Here, let me repeat that for you.
deepened it to a YouTube video calling somebody out.
Yeah.
It's like these guys would dignify each other. They would say, okay, you bring your best theological argument, I'll bring mine. But here's the thing, they were motivated by compassion, not criticism. And that's how you got the Protestant Reformation. Was the Catholic Church is selling indulgences, people are being deceived, and we've got to take the church back to the original design. What is it? And so I just thought about, like, would you still criticize Alexander Pagani's theology if YouTube didn't exist? Would you still make the video if nobody watched it? Would you still blog about Isaiah Saldivar if it didn't do something for your ego, for your status, for your... And let me just tell you, Pastor Mike, well, what authority do you have to say that?
Your ego? Mike doesn't understand. A lot of the people who were responding, and I've seen the blogs of and websites of some of these people who go after other Christian teachers. Some I'm sure were fair, and others are a little over the top. I've seen them, but I don't think those guys were doing it to feed their ego. They were very concerned about issues and things and that, and I get that. I just don't particularly care for these channels that don't or websites that only tells you everything. Hmm. But oh boy, it gets more interesting.
Well, I'm a part of a church planting organization, and my apostolic oversight, we had a guy in our organization that had some
Hold on.
serious sin. And so they asked me, would you move your family? This is during the pandemic. Mike, would you be willing to move your
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I the problem I'm having is this. Did you catch how Alexander handled the issue? He's well, how let's do it diplomatically. Let's do this. This is like an opportunity to build on what his friend, that whose picture is right above him, had said. But no.
family across country and pastor two churches at the same time, V1 Church and his church, while we go into a deep investigation of this man's life, his finances, the fruit of his ministry. So it's like, you talk about call out culture, cancel culture, all this stuff. It's trivial to someone like me, because to find the truth about another minister's life,
Trivial? Really?
I had to move my entire family into his neighborhood and actually do the deep work of reconciling his church and working through those issues. So I think right now it's like, I look at a lot of these guys and I'm like, man, these guys, and I'm just going to say it in the most theological way I can. They're punks. They're wusses. These guys have no backbone. It's like they.
Yeah, that's real theological, Mike. Real theological. Like I said, this is not how to respond to criticism and that. And Mike has gotten plenty. And a lot of it is because of how this is. Let me know how you guys are seeing this. And how he's yeah.
And it's like, they don't what they're bad, and they're bad at what they do. Like someone the other day made a video about like saying, I don't know Greek. By the way, I'm halfway through with my master's in theology right now. And the fact is, what I said was right. I fact checked it. I went through different channels, but the irony of their video is that they were actually wrong in their video. And so, and to go back to Pagani's point, it's like, it's so weird, because just because somebody makes a thumbnail doesn't make them authoritative. Good. Just because somebody has a nice camera in 4K doesn't make them authoritative. And I think that we need to increase in maturity and discernment. And so I do call leaders out, but I call them out to their face. I move my family across country to do the deep work. And I think that's the heritage we have from the Protestant Reformation is get on horseback, don't get on Facebook. Go through the rivers and valleys, do the real thing, but they're not going to do that. And last thing I say, because and I'm going to take a drink to my polar seltzer water after I say this, but the thing, because it needs to be said, this needs to be said. I have actually emailed some of the people who've made content about me, saying, I would love to have a charitable discussion. I would love to have a theological, I'm willing to do the work to build the bridge of relationship, and let's do it privately. I'm not doing it for likes or follows or fans or subscribers. And to date, 0 of them have taken me up on the offer.
Yeah.
So that's your motive. And it's, a lot of these guys are very weird. They're mentally ill. And to think about a 45.
Wait. A lot of these guys are mentally ill. Now, did you see any of that kind of comment coming from the bearded gentleman above? That kind of speaking and added? No, I didn't. Even Isaiah, to his credit, was a little more civil without the name calling. Oh God. Mm-hmm.
5-year-old man taking my face, etching it out, and then laughing.
much work.
and then there's a file on their computer that actually is named, crown, and they put it on my head and they're laughing and just like the other day I was actually imagining some of these grown men making thumbnails of us, and I was like they're white, like nobody in their life says, hey, when you were like manipulating Mike's face and distorting, like that's weird.
Yes.
Like nobody tells these guys that's mentally unwell. Like you need to get a real hobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna react, and now you see why I pick Rob's thumbnail.
So I'm done. I'm done.
I agree.
I remember when Leonard Ravenhill, they asked him why he's always criticizing the church. And he said something. He's like, I weep for the church 6 to 10 hours a day. He's like, because I weep for the church, I can whip the church.
Preach.
And what my challenge with people is that they gloat when people fall, and mainly because it gives them clicks. Maybe some of these people, they didn't start it like that, but they released one video and they saw that, since they don't have anything else to say, what if this is something that they could keep on commenting? And now it became a habit, and now it became an addiction, and now it became a ministry. And then, of course, they find scriptures to justify that. But when Saul fell off the rails, Samuel, who rebuked him to face, he mourned for him. He grieved for his fall. And what grieves me is that we don't grieve. A lot of times when stuff like that happen, we just gloat and we quickly jump online and let's make a video because, I haven't posted anything and I've been waiting for somebody to fall so that I can make a new video. And sometimes our response to someone's sin can be a sin too. Like, what happened to Noah was bad. How his sons reacted to that also wasn't good. Moses married this girl he wasn't supposed to. How Miriam responded. And so we just have to be careful that we don't rush quickly to stone somebody because, like they were doing with the woman caught in the act of adultery. In fact, they had all the facts.
Okay. I'm going to stop on that one right now. Okay. I appreciate the way Vlad was trying to answer. In fact, I used him as reference for some video content. Now, can you see what I meant by how not to? Look, when it comes to YouTube, social media, even in real life, we're going to run into people who are not going to agree with us, who might think we're a little nutty for having certain types of beliefs. Heck, I've had some people who poke fun of me because of how I look. Guess what? I can't control that. I can only control how I choose to respond. And I know one thing, turning around and name calling somebody is not a good way to do it. Because in the end, you're only inviting more. In fact, if you don't know who Mike was talking about, it was Rob Wilson's video and the thumbnail I used. Now, here's the problem. Now, you might say, well, Barry, how would you like to have that goofy picture for thumbnail with the crown and the goofy look? Okay, how would you handle it? First, let me give you a little bit of revelation. And by revelation, I do not mean prophetic common sense wisdom and experience. Bob Wilson, for all the things he says and does, whether you like it or not, he's a choir boy compared to what I've run into over the years. If you know Bob Wilson of the Love Agenda, then you should be able to figure out what I mean when I said he's a choir boy compared to others I've run into. Okay, compared to some of the trolls and other idiots who mock and ridicule. Yeah. 2, am I defending the silliness? How would I respond if my head was in there? I'd probably go like, oh, chuckle a little bit because it's cartoonish. Uh, one moment, let me see if I can bring up and so forth. Okay, let's here's the thumbnail. Here. If I seen it mixed in with the other guys' faces, and I only obscured it because the focus was on Mike, not them. I probably would have just chuckled a bit and say, okay, what's with this silly nonsense, Mike? I mean, Rob, what what is it you're saying with this silliness? The reason for the crown, that's what Mike was talking about, was actually meant to say pride, arrogant, self-conceited. That's what it was. If I saw that, I'm like, I would look at the video, say, oh, wait a minute, what is he claiming? Is he saying I'm being prideful in some way? Oh, is there any validity in this? And I asked the Holy Spirit to help me to search my heart to see, well, is there any validity in this? Does he have a valid point? What do I need to change in me to help cut down on this? All right, he may not agree with me on certain things, but is this something that warrants that? What can I do? Are you getting the idea? That's really the right way to respond to something like this and not be offended. Two, here's the other thing. Don't go on tirades. Don't go reacting out of anger or go on thing like this. Mike was referring to a video about that. How about a video on the topic of how YouTubers earn an income? Because a lot of Christian YouTubers, their videos are monetized. That's how I'm not there yet. It'll be a while. But guess what? Those are worthwhile conversations to turn around, to flip the narrative. There are some things I don't do. Like, ever notice I don't say anything about my book? Yeah, I did write one. I don't say much, because I don't want to overdo it. There are good ways to respond to issues and healthy ways too. But one thing is certain, getting angry or upset or and especially the name calling, that's stupid. Yeah, there are some people who do deserve who quick. But so what? I had a guy who did call me a teacher because of a video stream I did on prophecy. I realized he misunderstood or didn't realize what I was saying. But then again, this guy had a reputation of calling everyone false teachers. Yeah, I'm really going to get upset with that guy. Not. But I have to learn. Like I just illustrated with Rob. Father, what is, I do forgive this person. Is there a validity? Is there something I should do to correct whatever error I might have made? Because I realized, you know what? Let's fix that video because maybe somebody watching that and didn't get the right framework or the right information on that. That's possible. But see, that comes with spiritual maturity. And as both Vlad and Alex have pointed out, we do need to be slow to react and to give thought to what's going on and not just like jump in with our emotion and feeling. Yes, I'm commending those guys for acting with maturity and wisdom. Does it mean I'm going to? No. But I will respect them when, hey, you know what? You got it right. I acknowledge you. See, that is maturity and wisdom and grace. It's also how we should respond through the characteristics in the fruit of the Spirit. You know, love, gentleness, patience, perseverance, all those other things, and thinking and self control. Yes, I can get angry about something, and I have, but I had to ask the Lord, help me to filter it in the right way that He would be pleased, and not out of my flesh. Whoop. Okay. Sorry for the interruption, folks. Now, I'm not going to let some of these so-called discernment channels off the hook because just as Mike needs to learn some humility from his friend, and that we also need to be careful and thoughtful about the things we do because, yeah, it is very easy to hop on YouTube and not give thought. I was actually thinking of just doing a one piece snippet, but I felt like the Lord was saying, no, Brad, you need to get the whole conversation so that people will know what it is you're responding to. And I appreciate that because I want the whole thing and not pointing finger at one thing. We do need to take some responsibility and thought for how we do and checking things. And we do have to be careful with the kind of content. Like, I don't make my channel has a variety of content. I do book reviews. I sometimes do reaction response, not negative or critical at all, of other people. I don't make it a history of just exposing somebody or covering the latest scandal. Why? Because that's not what God called me to do. He called me to be an encourager, build up the body of Christ, strengthen, and to give that gentle push or sometimes a shove as needed. And that's what I'm doing right now. We do need to take some responsibility and thought because not all of us are called to be, well, leaders as it is. And we do need to give thought. Is this appropriate? How do I confront issues? How can I? That's the one thing I was kind of disappointed with. And that's why I commend Alex for saying something, because he's probably the only one who actually gave some insight on what to do. It doesn't help the guy in the so-called basement. I'm not in the basement. Oh, help. But yeah, we do need some accountability and help in doing, and people check in. That's real. And we should take some time and maybe not be so quick, say, ooh, that is both. Yeah, because this stuff does get addicting. The algorithm responds to controversy. It responds to, ooh, drama. Yeah. And this is because the people who created the algorithm know human nature. They know that carnal nature that thrives on that. And so do we. That's why. And we have to think before we go posting. So, yes, confront, but there are so many different ways to confront bad teaching. How about providing good teaching and show that in contrast to the bad teaching that's out there. And not always, but be specific. Okay? That's why I like Corey Miner's channel a lot, because he's not just pointing a finger. He's saying, okay, here's the problem with this teaching. Here's the issue I have with this guy. Who knows? He might see this and have some fine. I'll probably listen to him and say, what can I learn here? See, that's good. I commend Robert trying to do some teaching and not just point a finger. And I would encourage some variety. Yes, folks, you're seeing my preference and how to confront an issue as opposed to pointing fingers and just, oh, I'm just going to focus on this because I don't agree. Okay, fine. I got a book review in the back that's been pushed aside for the moment. Worshiptainment, because I do have some concerns, and I'll deal with it later. And I'll give you a hint. The author of the book is a Presbyterian pastor who is a fellow YouTuber. Calvinist and all that fun stuff. I'll have to review the book and see what's what. Yeah, I have another stuff. All right. I hope this and trust this video was of value to you and insightful, and not just gee, no, this is more meant to help you instead. All right. Want to thank you for your time. Hope you have a blessed day. See ya when I see ya.